readings today give us a little bit of a vision for Lent. And I wanted to draw out 2 points that they make this morning. Firstly, Lent is about re-establishing and deepening our connection and our union with the source of our life, the source of our hope. We heard the Lord today through the prophet Joel. Now, it is the Lord who speaks. Come back to me with all your heart. Turn to the Lord your God again, for he is all tenderness and compassion, slow to anger, rich in graciousness, and ready to relent, ready to receive you. Then again in the second reading, St. Paul says, this is our message for you. Be reconciled to God. Lent is all about the Father drawing us back into his heart. Yeah? I think sometimes in our mind we set up Lent as this time of necessary suffering, don't we? Oh, sacrifice, suffering, I've got to do this if I'm going to get to that Easter life, into that Easter glory. And yes, the journey towards God will almost always involve some kind of suffering, because things in us need to die away in order to open up, to draw closer to God. So yes, it does include sacrifice and suffering, but that's not really what this season is about. This season is about union. It's about connection, reconnection, deepening in our relationship with our God, the source, the wellspring of our life. The prophet, God through the prophet says, come to me fasting, weeping, mourning. God's saying, grieve over all the ways that you settle for less than me. That's what you should grieve over. Don't force yourself to grieve over things. Just grieve as you recognise the ways that you settle for less. You settle for second best. You try and replace this union, this relationship, with other things that will never truly satisfy. An image I thought might be helpful for the Lenten journey is that of the vine and the branches. Remember Jesus in John's Gospel says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you abide in me and I abide in you, you will be truly fruitful. But if you don't abide in me, then you really can't do anything worthwhile. Yeah? You won't be ultimately satisfied. So maybe as we embark on Lent as a way of kind of assessing where you're at in this union with your God, you might just consider how tightly is my branch attached to the vine right now? Be really honest, yeah? Am I pretty tight? Am I pretty attached? Or am I like a lot of trees after the storm last night? I'm kind of limp and just barely hanging on. I mean, truth is your friend, yeah? Truth is your friend. God is always close to us when we're truthful. So perhaps that's an opportunity for you today to be a bit honest with yourself. How attached am I at this point? And how do you know how attached you are? Well, it might be helpful to look at the fruits of your life. How much peace am I experiencing in my heart at this time? How generous am I in my life? Where are my priorities? Am I focused on self, or do I have a spaciousness? Do I have an availability, capacity to be for others? The fruits will generally indicate how tightly we're attached to the vine. All right, so that's the first point. Lent is a time for reconnection, deepening in that union with our God. The second key point that comes through the readings today, particularly the gospel, is to keep it real. Yeah, Jesus today talks about those 3 practices we encourage during Lent as a way of opening our heart to God. Yeah, prayer, fasting, almsgiving. And his key point really is do it from the right heart. Do it from the right heart. Don't follow these practices or any practices you take up. Don't do it just because that's what we do as Catholics. And certainly don't do it as a way of impressing God or impressing others. Right? That's just a way of saving yourself, right? You're your own God. Do it, Jesus is saying, because you believe that it would truly help you to reconnect and deepen in your relationship with your God. So here's what I want to suggest. Rather than adding extra sacrifice and extra suffering to your life this Lent, maybe what you need to do is just to spend time sitting and holding your existing sacrifice, your existing suffering. Don't try and fix it. Don't try and control it. And perhaps you don't even have to try and understand it. But just sit with it. Hold it. Hold your suffering, whatever that may be at this point. Sit with it. Lean into it. Ask God to meet you in that place, as difficult as that can be. It might be helpful to think about Mary in front of the cross, yeah? Just sitting, standing, with her suffering. And trusting that as we sit, as we hold our suffering in God, that will take us into a deeper place that does transform us. It does open us up to a new life. So in a moment, we're going to receive these ashes on our head. And this is really an opportunity for us to firstly say, yes, I want to really intentionally take this journey. I'm not just doing it because that's what we do as Catholics, but yes, I'm really up for this. It's a moment for us, as we receive ashes, it's really humbling, yeah? So it's a chance for us just to humble our hearts before God and to recognise that it's the grace of God that will lead us on this journey back to Him, back to union, this journey through suffering. So really just to humble ourselves before God's grace and just allow God to lead us on this journey. But thirdly, as you receive the ashes, you might really pray for the desire for union, yeah, to really believe that union, deeper connection with your God is what you need, what will ultimately satisfy, what will ultimately enable you to be fruitful. Let's pray for that grace today.